everybody. Today we're going to be doing an interview, and before we start, I want to introduce ourselves. My name is Jade, my pronouns are she, hers, and I am the comms team fellow.
My name is Deanna, I use she, her pronouns. Formerly, I was the youth organizer, and now I'm a program coordinator here at the center.
And I'm Julia, I'm the co-executive director, and I use she, her pronouns.
So before we start, we like to connect this interview to our Freedom Charter, which is our beliefs here at Young Women's Freedom Center and what we're working towards to accomplishing. So, we have the right to be free from sexual, gender-based, and physical violence, abuse, and exploitation perpetrated by our families, our partners, our community, the state, and institutions. We have the right to defend ourselves from intimate community, state, and institutional violence. Julia, being someone who helped contribute and create the Freedom Charter, how does this resonate with you?
So, what I think about this Freedom Charter is how it was created through so many hands of folks that have been impacted by gender-based violence and systemic violence. So this is our North Star and what we're trying to get to. Some of these things exist and some of them do not exist yet. So this is staying rooted in our why.
And I'd like to introduce our book called All About Love, written by Bell Hooks, which has been the inspiration for this conversation. So, diving straight into our first question, What is love? Deanna, would you like to start?
Yes. So, based off of Bell Hooks' work, she defines love as a combination of care, commitment, knowledge, responsibility, respect, and trust. And when I was reading this, to me, like, I kind of felt like, oh my God, like, I don't even know what love is. Because, like, you know, growing up, you have, like, an idea of what love is, or you think you know what it is. But she really made me, like, she opened my eyes to see that love is, like, a whole thing. Like, there's so many compartments to it, like, trust, respect, like, all these things make it whole. And for a lot of us growing up, maybe we felt a little bit of love, but were we, like, can we trust someone that we love?
I'm thinking about the Latin roots of the word love is amor. And when you look at the root of what amor is, it's amica. So it's friend. It's literally like a translation of a word friend. So there's some kind of connection there.
Can love and harm coexist? Julia, would you like to answer first?
I do believe that they do exist in the same ways. Like they exist in the same parts. I can understand that even growing up, seeing maybe harm within family members or caregivers or something like that, it's I understand that there was a love, a connection there, but then also a deep need for growth and exposure to other ways to communicate or practice those things.
I think it's difficult. I think love and harm, yeah, they do exist, like, at the same time. But if you are being harmed, like, how can you be loved if you're being harmed? You know? Bell Hooks, she talks in her book about, like, love and harm that children receive. And I feel like that's something that definitely resonated with me, because I'm a mom now. So I'm trying to figure out, like how to love. Because growing up, this book is about work. She gonna make you think about, your past and your experiences. Growing up, like, I had, yes, a loving home, but, like, it wasn't like a complete picture. There were areas in which it lacked. So now that I'm a parent, like, I'm trying to give my baby girl, like, whole love.
Right.
And she talks about like, harming our kids. Because that's something that's very widely accepted in our country.
That's where it starts. It starts in your childhood.
A lot of kids get beat by their parents, And she makes it a point to say that, no, love and harm cannot coexist, because if you love someone, you're not going to hurt them. And there's a specific section in the book where Bell Hooks is talking about how her and a group of friends were just chatting about like whether it's right or wrong to put your hands on a child. And the general consensus was like, yes, you need to put your kid in line, and sometimes what you gotta do is you gotta hit him. And she's the only person in that group that's like, no, like that's not right. And she kind of flips the switch, and she says that, okay, what if it wasn't a child? What if it was a grown woman? If a grown woman was acting out, is it okay for her man to put his hands on her to make her act right? And she talks about how people were like very horrified by the example, but it's the same thing, you know?
Yeah, violence is violence.
You just made me reflect on actually when I was participating in Mothers United a long time ago, very long time ago, right? I remember we were talking about the long and short term effects of violence on our children. And I just remember getting so much out of those conversations about how to communicate like my needs and wants with my kid, and how we can what's our age appropriate things and stuff like that. And so it just shifted for me because I didn't have that. My examples were, you know, you do it or else.
Which brings us to like our boundaries and standards. As we get older, you know, you begin to implement more boundaries, the more contact you come with people on a day-to-day basis. So what are standards and how do we set them in our families, our friendships, and systematically and institutionalized?
So standards, when I think about my personal relationships of like who I choose in a partner, I've literally written out lists, like made a list for myself of the things for my standards, where's my boundaries, where are my do's and don'ts. So I think that that's been a tool that has even changed over the years for me. So I even have to come back to it.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Deanna, your thoughts on standards?
I think that my standards come from watching my mom as a kid, like watching her navigate like her relationships. Like I know, looking back, like I was very hard on my mom. You know, because I mean we're people and we fuck up and we do things. But like I was very critical of like the decisions that she made with her partners. So like as I was becoming like a young adult, like I was like, this is what I want. I know, like, because I saw what I didn't want with her and her men. But then also like with my standards, I kind of had to like, not that, like I had to take a look at myself, because it's also like a lot of my ego there too, because like how can I expect a lot from like my partner or my friends when like I'm not even all the way like there or like healed or like, you know, because I want, you talked about like a perfect or like an ideal partner, like but like I have to be like my best self too, you know, so I had to like look at myself also when thinking about standards too, because friendships, relationships with family, like all of that, it's like a partnership. Like it takes, it's not just all on one person, you know? And that took a lot to admit, because like I'm independent, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but like, come on,
we're literally products of our environment, which brings us to our last question, which is how do we differentiate between love and violence when we have been impacted by the system? And just to kind of give a little bit of clarity to that, being someone who was in foster care, being split from my family and all my siblings, separation is something that I connect violence to. Like, how do we, what are certain things from our childhood or just our life that we connected to violence, and it kind of spills over into like other aspects in our life. And being in foster care, I don't ever think I experienced love. I don't think I ever even had an idea of what that would look like for me, because look how they're treating me. They don't care that they just split me away from my 6-year-old brother, or just took me away from my mom, and all that kind of stuff. So how do we differentiate violence and love when we've been in the system?
I came to a place in my life where I kind of was like, it doesn't exist. It does not exist. The person does not exist. I don't know what love, that's got to be a movie thing or a storybook thing. And I had to find examples for myself to reaffirm that love can exist.
Yeah.
I had to look inside of where maybe I couldn't find it inside of my home, but maybe I couldn't find it somewhere else, but I had to look at examples of it. And I found them. I found there's real examples of like love, and that there is conflict. Conflict is in any part of any relationship. There will be tension, there will be things, but what makes it, I don't know, the kind of love that I'm aspiring to is like that, the process in which you kind of arrive there and get there. I need to find examples of it. I need to feel love. I need to see it. I need to smell it. I need to breathe it. Yeah, I need to breathe it. Everything. Like I need to know that it really exists. Yeah. Even standing in front of the ocean, and breathing that in, I'm like, this is love right here.
Love. Yeah. Deanna?
Like answering this question is hard because I don't know all the answers, and I'm gonna just be upfront. Like I don't know all the answers. I've had friendships, like real close friendships, and because of like violence and love and like trying to support people out of situations, but people are really only gonna do what they want to do, and it's so hard to like separate the two because for a lot of my friends, violence and love go together. If my man is not being violent towards me, if he's not asking me what I'm doing, if he's not tracking my location, controlling what I'm doing, literally. But as far as like tools go to like differentiate the two, I'm gonna pull out this book right here.
How would you read it? And you tell me.
This is a really awesome tool. So we have a few copies in our office, but there's a free PDF. If you Google Bell Hooks All About Love PDF, it's gonna be the first thing that pops up on Google. So.
Yep, I'm gonna put the link down here so y'all could go to our Amazon storefront and get the book yourselves. I just want to say thank you, Julia and Deanna, for sitting down and talking with me about love. Did you guys have any last comments or any questions you wanted to say to the audience?
It's hard. It's hard, but it's like Julia, like once you get a little taste of like love, or once you see it, once you feel it, you gonna just want to keep. You don't want it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm thinking right now of just love for community too, because I want so badly for somebody to know that maybe it is an experience of love right in this moment, that it exists. And I feel like at the center, even us organizing on policy or holding our circles or any of those things, like we're creating those experiences for folks. We're like, we'll show you the example. We'll be that example for you, and and we're gonna let you know the real.
Period.
It's hella love.
At this center, we believe we have freedom from violence. It is possible through our policy work, our programs, healing, and self-determination advocacy. We are working to achieve this goal every day. So until next time, bye.
Bye.